Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mystic Tides Tarot YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a themed reading. I will only be using Alice in Wonderland themed decks. Now I only have two, an oracle and a tarot, but there are many more than what I have. But anyways, we're going to specifically be talking about what it is that you need to be really digging into, really diving deep into. That's another one of the reasons why I chose to use the Alice in Wonderland theme, because essentially you could find yourself going down that rabbit hole, right? When we go deep, a lot of the times we end up going down that rabbit hole and coming out a whole new different person, whether that is your purpose at this time right now, or even something you want to engage in. That's totally up for you to decide. You can always click off the video, obviously, but if you're interested to see where it is you should be diving deeper into, then stick around. So I'm going to be pulling 3 different oracle cards, and then you pick the oracle card that resonates or calls to you the most, and that will be your pile for your reading, okay? So let's do this. First card, All in the Golden Afternoon. Second card, No Need to Fear. And third card, Find the Lesson. Oh, whatever brave soul picks that pile, I applaud you. Okay, so first pile, welcome to your reading. You have the oracle card. Wow. You have the oracle card, All in the Golden Afternoon. This is inspiration, it's creative spark, imagination, conception. So it's possible that you've been thinking about taking on something new. It could be intimidating, but more than anything, I'm getting very like playful energy. Like this is going to be something that's going to really, number one, have you going in a direction you don't typically go in, but also going to allow your inner child to come out and play, which is something that I feel that you've been needing for a while now. So let's get into this reading. What do you need to be diving more into or diving deeper into? 7 of Wands, 4 of Cups, 10 of Swords, 6 of Wands, and this one, Strength, and Knight of Swords. Okay, so we have not a single pentacle card here. So this tells me that this may not necessarily be job related. It can be, but that's not like the main focus of this. It's more about you following something that maybe you've been wanting to do for a while. It could have been a passion of yours, but it's possible that the reason that you haven't been doing this as often is due to fear of revisiting an old feeling. And this could have been maybe after, you know, really putting efforts towards a creative project, whether it was in your youth or as an adult. What happened because of you exerting that energy wasn't the outcome that you wanted. And there's a difference between, you know, expecting an outcome versus accepting an outcome. And this was one of those where accepting that outcome was extremely difficult, and it made you feel like maybe you needed to kill that part of you for a while to be able to recover from what felt like maybe even extreme sadness. I don't want to use the word depression, but if that resonates, then you understand what that is for you. And that's kind of like what was the past. This first top row is giving me like the past energy. It's like there was a lot of effort. You felt like maybe you had to defend your ability to even pursue that project or that passion, even if you were a child or a teen or a young adult, because that keeps coming up for some reason. And, you know, it's very sad to think that when you're in the middle of trying to discover who you are, and when you should be given the most freedom, you're still feeling like you have to defend it, because that shouldn't have to happen, okay? And I just felt the need to put that out there for you for some reason. But yeah, it was something that was, you know, a bit heartbreaking, and maybe you didn't even feel the heartbreak until way later, because during the time that it was happening, it was sad, but it didn't feel like a heartbreak. It was just like this deep disillusionment, and maybe it even led to some type of apathetic emotions, or maybe not emotions, but like feeling apathetic about not just that, but then even other areas of your life because of that, which led to you telling yourself, you know what, logically speaking, in my mind, it doesn't make sense for me to try to continue to pursue this because the pain is too great and it's just too much to deal with right now. It's like not worth the fight, you know? So that kind of gives me this past energy. Now, what you need to be diving into is not reliving that, but understanding that just because that was the case in the past does not mean that you're doomed to repeat it. And also, as an older and much wiser version of yourself now, you have the tools to be able to weather that storm. Because now you can also go back and reparent this part of yourself, and then also apply the wisdom that you now carry and bring forth that victory. Because this is the victory card here, the Six of Wands. You know, this is not just a winner. This is the winner doing their victory lap around the track. You know, they already won. Now they're doing their victory lap so that they can really live in that moment of victory and receive their flowers, their just desserts, their applause. So you're now in a position where that creative endeavor, that passion that you're now rethinking of starting up, it's like the perfect time is what this is telling me. Now, strength comes out because obviously, like, this was a really hard time for you, as I said before. So strength coming out is just that reminder of a couple of different things. One, you're strong enough to do it. Two, keep your wits about you so you don't get swept up in that water, in those emotions, because you know what it's like and you have that memory. It lives in your cells. You feel it in your body as if it was more recent than it truly was. And that can bring up some anxiety around this. And that's completely normal, but it does not mean that you're not capable of handling it. So do not be afraid to step into that and use whatever you need to, whatever tools you already have in your arsenal to be able to pull on the strength that you already possess to really relish in this victory that is going to be coming your way when you do follow that thread. Then we have the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords, this is someone who is willing to rush in and not think too much about it. And this tells me that you shouldn't be dwelling on the past too much. Yes, know what you went through, gather that information, that intel, and then stop. Because reliving the past, once you got that nugget of wisdom, is fruitless, right? The only reason you look back is because you're going to gain that little bit of nugget of wisdom so that you can move forward. And that way that second cycle, third, fourth, fifth cycle is not repeating the previous, right? And the Knight of Swords is here to tell us you don't want to spend too much time in your head. You don't want to spend too much time thinking about it. You want to just go, go, go. This doesn't mean that you're doing it recklessly though, okay? It just means that you're going to feel like you may be moving recklessly because you're so used to thinking a lot about it. You're a strategist, okay? But have a little bit more grace with yourself in this period. So yeah, all in the golden afternoon. I think it's like this reminder that this can be a very beautiful experience for you. And it is something that doesn't have to feel so arduous anymore. And it's really an invitation to dive deeper and dive into this project, this passion of yours that in the past felt like it was not your time or like it was too heavy for you. You are now ready to do that. And that's what you really need to be digging into, diving into. That's where you need to follow the white rabbit. Okay? Okay, pile one, this is all I have for you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you for your next reading. Bye. Hello, pile number 2. Your oracle card is No Need to Fear. Remember how powerful you are. So let's see what you have to dive deeper into. the Sun, Queen of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, Six of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and Three of Swords. So we're seeing a lot of pentacles here, and this tells me that this fear is in regards to either work or health. It's something that's very tangible, okay? The Sun being the first card that comes out also is telling me that this is why there's no need to fear, because not only do you have the capacity for extreme joy, but it is coming your way. So it's almost as if maybe the fear is just something that was instilled in you from a young age. And it's really hard to fight that programming unless you like actually purposefully try to break that programming apart. So maybe doing some of that like inner child work, revisiting where it is that you started to feel that you needed to fear so much would be beneficial to you. But the Sun card is like this reminder that you've been through a lot of situations where you were scared or had fear or had maybe some anxieties around certain things, and it was never as bad as you thought it was going to be. And this is that reminder of that, number one, but also it's kind of trying to impress upon you that you have the tendency to think a little bit on the darker side, which I can totally resonate with. And this isn't like to criticize you or to make you feel bad about it. It's just this reflection so that you can understand that you tend to look at things with the not the most positive light. And what this does is it could, with time and, you know, thought after thought, it stacks on itself, right? And thought after thought, it's going to continue to convince you that things should be scary and that things are scary even when they're not, okay? So it's almost as if you're fooling yourself. Like, you're smart enough to understand the logic in situations, and a lot of times thinking about the logic does get you out of like that fear, but it doesn't always work that way because your body feels the way that it does. And because, like I said, a lot of the times we learn this from a young age, it's really hard to understand sometimes what we're doing automatically and how to break it because it feels so like that's just who I am. But you definitely have the power to change that. And the reason I'm saying that is because we have the Queen of Pentacles and we have the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the Queen of Pentacles, this is like that nurturing energy in the pentacle suit. So the nurturing energy on a physical, tangible level. So this is telling me that you have the tools necessary to be able to nurture yourself back into a place where there is no fear. Then the Ace of Pentacles is kind of like coming after that, telling us that this can be a new beginning for you. That the way that you thought, like, let's just say that you've been suffering of anxiety for a while and maybe it's getting worse, or maybe it feels like you're never going to not have it. And the Ace of Pentacles is telling us, yes, you can definitely have this new opportunity, this new beginning of not having to experience that either as often or at all for the rest of your life. It's just a matter of finding what's going to nurture you into that position to be open to having that for yourself. It is completely possible. Don't ever let anybody try to convince you or diagnose you into something permanent, because you have the power to get out of that. And you need to know that. That's coming through really strongly. Then we have the Six of Cups. And this kind of like adds a little bit of joy to the entire reading on my end of things. But Six of Cups is also the nostalgia card, right? It's the card of thinking about the past. And this can be like that call that I said to go back and figure out why it is that you might be a little more fearful than your logical mind tells you makes sense to be, right? Like, let's just say you have this fear in your body. You're having these physical sensations, maybe in your chest, maybe in your stomach, maybe your head's hurting because you've been overthinking something that you know doesn't serve you to overthink. And you're wondering why you're acting that way. Having this look into the past, asking yourself, it could be as simple as starting with just a question in a journal, right? A question of like, why do I feel fear towards this? Okay, cool. Answer it. Then where did my fear stem from? And you can ask yourself this question every single day until you get an answer. The answers will come if you look for them. And if you pull cards or you have an oracle deck or a tarot deck, you can just, if you know, all this intimidates you, you know, you can just pull one card. Ask that question, pull that one card. Journal about that card. Journal what you see in the card, what emotions arise from that. And little by little, you will start to peel back those layers to get those answers. Trust me, it is possible. And I know you can do it, okay? Then we have the Page of Pentacles. This is another one of those cards where it's like in the beginning, right? So Queen is telling us, you know, whether you're conscious of this knowledge or not is a different story, but you know what it takes to nurture yourself back. You just need to apply it. Then we can start anew. And then right here with the Page of Pentacles, we have, this is you in that new. This is, and I say this all the time, I'm going to continue saying it. This is that freshman in college, right? You're starting this journey, this new way of being, this new way of walking on this planet. So it's going to come with, you know, these new emotions, these new feelings, these new thoughts, and that's totally normal. It's kind of like saying ease into it and try not to think about it too hard, because we do have the Three of Swords here, and the Three of Swords is known as like the heartbreak card, right? And this is just telling me that you may have that tendency, right, to maybe catastrophize a little bit, and even thinking about potentially catastrophizing makes you sad, and it brings some more fear because it makes you feel like you're trapped and you can't get out. And I'm just telling you right now, that's just the old programming coming back, because when you change and you start anew, this old version of you, you can't kill it off, okay? Pieces of it are still going to be there. And it's not about destroying. It's not about neglecting. It's about just letting it to rest and let it sleep and recover and accept that that was a part of your life and that's okay. And understanding that this new way of being, it's going to take a while before you can fully integrate into this new version of yourself and not feel this come up and it be so scary. Okay, so I feel that this card came out just for me to send you that message of when you're in the middle of these transitions, or when you have fully transitioned, it's totally normal to feel like you haven't. To feel like just because you had this one thought or this one anxiety come up that used to come up, or this one fear, that all of a sudden all of this that you've been doing is trash, or it didn't work out, or it's not enough. And that's a lie as well. Because this transition, it takes some time. You can totally be this new version of yourself, but still have traces like smoke, you know, like residual smoke just kind of like draped over your body. I don't know why that's the visual that I got, but like this smoke of the old self just kind of like stuck to your clothes a little bit. And it doesn't mean that you are that person anymore. It's just kind of like saying that you might carry around that smoke smell for a little bit. And that's normal too. Okay? But yeah, you just have to remember how powerful you are. As the Oracle card says, that Queen of Pentacles coming in, that Sun coming in as well, to really cement that you are powerful. You do have the tools. You do know how to get into what it is that you're trying to get into. And you don't have to worry about whether you can or not, because you absolutely can. Okay? Okay, pile 2, that's your reading. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Hello, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. So pile 3, oh, that one's coming. You chose to find the lesson. Discover the purpose in a situation. Trust that you are learning. And I don't know if you're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to dive deep. We're going to dive deep. This is what we're going to do. And I'm not scared. Hit me with it. What is the lesson here? Or maybe you've been doing the work and you just don't know what the hell that lesson is. And you've been scratching your head about it. So let's try to see what the cards have to say about it. Okay. So first card, we have the Six of Swords. Okay, one of the lesson is definitely asking you to leave something behind. Something has not been working out for you. But then we have the World. So after you leave that something behind, guess what? You get exactly what you've been wanting to get. You're chasing something, or you're working towards something, manifesting something. Boom. The High Priestess tells me that you are a very intuitive person. So yeah, I kind of want to stick with what I said last about the Oracle card when I was reading it. You have been working on something. And the High Priestess tells me that you've been working on it because you are an intuitive person, and you kind of always know when it's time to make a change, make a shift. You may not always know how to navigate the waters, and that's okay. That's normal also. Like, let's not let's not try to put that pressure on ourselves that we need to know everything immediately, okay? Because that's very not the reality of the world. So yeah, this tells me you're a deeply intuitive person. You already know that you're in the middle of a lesson. You're just not 100% sure that you've grasped it before you can actually walk away from it and say, hey, I'm done, right? And then with the Knight of Swords here, the Queen of Cups, Two of Wands, we have, you like to rush in. You like to rush in. The moment you feel that it's time to make a change, it's time to make a move, you're like, let's fucking go, because life is too short. We need to get these lessons down. We need to make these moves. We need to hurry up and get it done, because I'm not about to be wasting time when I can take action. And you do this in a very strategic way, okay? Which makes sense because you're already intuitive, okay? You're already intuitive. You're already looking for the lesson. And then you're like, well, come on, like, I already know that there's something that I need to learn here. So my gut's telling me it might be this. And the Knight of Wands is like this impatient pacing back and forth, like, let's get this moving. Let's get this going. And maybe that's why you picked this pile, because you're not afraid. You're not afraid to walk away from things, and you're ready to walk away. And you just want to make sure that you're walking away from the right thing, or you're walking away fully integrated with that lesson, so you don't have to go back and repeat it, right? We have the Queen of Cups. We have the Two of Wands. The Queen of Cups coming out tells me it has to do with either a mother figure or you mothering yourself, okay? Or just mothering and nurturing in general. And it could be that you've been neglecting parts of what you have to do in this lesson. With this Knight of Wands, it also tells me that it may have to do with you having to slow down, which probably goes against everything that you want to do. And then we have the Two of Wands. And this Two of Wands kind of solidifies what I just said, because the Two of Wands is a card of planning, right? And when you're planning, what do you have to do? You can't rush in. Planning takes time and strategy. Now, you have strategy down in many areas of your life because you're just that person. But this is telling me that you need to take more time in the planning stage. And this Queen of Cups coming before that tells me that the planning is not the planning you're used to. It's not the planning in like a career or like in figuring out a more mundane problem. This is something that's a little more spiritual, a little more emotional. And it has to do with nurturing yourself. So maybe you need to start thinking about, how have you been nurturing yourself? Maybe there's an area in your life that feels like, okay, like I'm great at this job or I'm great at this work, but I'm really lagging when it comes to like maybe relationships. Maybe that's a relationship with yourself. And the Queen of Wands popped into my head right now. So maybe you are more of a Queen of Wands. Maybe you're a passionate person. You're a fiery personality. You're charismatic. You know how to talk and get what you want. Okay. But the High Priestess is telling me it's time to not talk so much. It's time to go within. It's time to, you know, you have that intuition, but it's time to hone it even deeper. And you're going to need a plan and strategy for that. Now, you already know how to plan and strategize. Okay. Mentally, okay? Now we need to do it in a way that feeds the spirit and that nurtures you. The Queen of Wands is the one who's going to be empathetic to someone's plight. Now, how can you be empathetic to your own? How can you be empathetic towards that person who doesn't want to slow down but needs to? How can you be empathetic towards that person who has 1,000 goals and hasn't even met half of them, but needs to slow down in order to continue going? How can you give empathy, nurture, love, and care to that version of you? Okay? And that's how you're going to have to find that lesson. That's how you're going to dig deeper. That's how you're going to go down the rabbit hole, because this is going to be you getting into new territory that you haven't been in before. And there is the lesson. It's at the depth of that search. And I'm sorry to cut this short, but that's all I have for you, pile 3. It's just plain and simple, or maybe not so simple. Take that back. It's not simple. But it is plain. You know what you have to do. It's up to you to do it. You have the fire to do it. You have the intelligence to do it. Now you just kind of have to get yourself to go into a place that may not be so comfortable for you, but I know that you're brave enough. So once you set off on that journey, there's no going back, and you will be better for it. Okay? Thank you for coming and watching, and I'll see you at your next reading. Bye.